So this is a serious Battletech video. You see the title, The Charger. And this is one of my favorite mechs to play, not only for the lulls, not only just for the fun to do something interesting, crazy, wacky on the table, but I have found tactically it has an interesting combination of tonnage, battle value, and surprisingly, small lasers, yes, stock. We're going to put the variants aside for a moment. The combination of the small lasers, the tonnage, the armor, the speed, the 80 tons gives you a chance for something very, very interesting, something very, very unique. Now, if you're new to Battletech, one of the interesting things about Battletech is the immersive narrative. Many of the units in Battletech are designed for very, very specific functions, specific roles. This idea of multiple corporations selling mechs to the great houses, looking at the timeline, the Star League, this idea, if we can sell it and make a profit off it, that is where the Charger comes in. This idea, and this is in the narrative in the tech manual, how does it translate over to the table? This idea of a relatively fast assault mech, meaning lots and lots of tonnage, that's going to be geared up just for recon. Sure, you could just drop in a couple of locusts, but drop in the Charger and you could take a couple of PPC hits. You could take some LRM fire. You could engage multiple mechs, keep on running, scan what you have to scan, recon what you have to recon, and get the heck out of there. That's kind of the selling point on it. Now, tactically, is there a need for that? And how does that translate over to the actual hexes, to the actual game? So in exploring the Charger, one of the things that you'll often see, and then the question is asked, is this still really the Charger? It's an 80-ton assault mech. So you could turn it into a viable assault mech either by customizing it or playing some of the variants. When I play that variant occasionally, I will switch it to the autocannon 20 variant. If you've been following my vlogs, you know I love big guns. You know I love autocannon 20s. But I feel like in doing that, it's essentially an 80-ton template. And you have the tonnage, you have the slots, you have the battle value to do that. Of course, that is going to adjust the battle value. And now we get into the argument, are you missing something unique? Are you playing just another assault mech? And are we missing out on the lulls? So the Charger itself, I use it in two ways. I use it as part of my locust pack in that I will drop in a bunch of locusts. I'll drop in the Charger. Locusts run around acting as spotters, trying to cause chaos, run and gun. And the Charger itself will now outflank and run up either the left or right side of the hex map. You kind of ignore it because you're like, well, it's only got some small lasers. If you fire at it, it's moving, it's got distance, it's got range, it's got hexes between the target and you. It's going to be harder to hit. And if you do connect, not that I want to get hit in Battletech ever, I could take a couple of shots. So you say, okay, look, I'll shelve it. I know what Fritz is doing. He's not trying to hide it. It's not a hidden unit. He's moving up. As we move to mid-game or end-game, where now mission objectives become important, and mission objectives aren't always static. A little side tangent here. You might play a mission where you have to recover some lost tech or take and hold a certain point on the map. Those are going to be fixed. You know that is where the battle is going to condense and focus on. But even in a game where you're just fighting head-to-head, all-out combat, there are going to be fixed mission points. There are going to be, depending on the hex map you're playing on, points where you say, I need to get to that spot. Maybe it's cover. Maybe it's a chance for some concealment. Maybe it just limits the areas that other units can approach. Your mechs take some damage, an arm's missing, you're into internals, you've got to fallback points. You get an idea of the flow of the battle, where people are going to go. And it could be mechs, it could be infantry, it could be combined arms, tanks. You know where they're going to condense. That is where I'm sending the Charger. I'm not chasing you down, even though it is relatively fast for 80 tons. That's where I'm sending my Charger. And it has a couple of turns to be able to make it there because it's not a very expensive mech. This is the big selling point. 80-ton mech for, what is it, 860, 8-something battle value, 100 battle value. Now that tonnage, it has the small lasers. I find this combination's interesting with the small lasers because I want to get in close. And this is true of most assault mechs. I want to get in close and I want to punch you. So that's incentive to get close. This is incentive where the small lasers, did I say medium lasers? Excuse me. The small lasers, where they come into play. I'm going to be at point blank range. If we're looking mid to end game, this has got an amazing opportunity because now your mechs are going to be damaged. I mean, mine are too, but hopefully the Charger's arriving fresh or only with 1 or 2 hits. You've got a freshly geared up, ready to go assault mech, punching you, kicking you, small lasers to fish for crits, and it has the staying power. And I find when the Charger hits and I connect, that gives now new momentum. That gives new momentum to my other forces, which if mid-game, end-game are really, they're beaten up, they're battered. I can now push forward fresh and kind of catch you between the two. So I find it an interesting tactical option. But again, it is specialized, even if you're not using it in the intended role of a heavy scout, which I know the Cicada doesn't get much love, but if I really needed a heavy scout mech, I'd probably go with the Cicada or just go with any of the light bug mechs for the battle value. Go with the Jenner. Jenner's got speed, it's got firepower. So I won't say there are better mechs out there, but there are better mechs well suited for dedicated scout, but you could use it like that. But outside of that, it does offer opportunities. It is a lot of fun to play. And for me, the real pinnacle is the lulls. When something amazing happens in Battletech, you say my name, you remember it, right? The Charger, when it connects and I knock your head off, or it just causes chaos where you're like, this is a joke mech, and it's tied up my forces for 2 or 3 turns, and Fritz is now pushing the momentum. For me, for that opportunity, for that chance to create that is worth the price of admission.